Good morning. Welcome to your final assessment for this unit, the Nature of Science unit. In this assessment, you'll be using all of the things that we have learned and talked about throughout the unit. You'll be creating your very own science experiment. It should be something that is very simple, that requires very few materials, something you can do within your home, and something you can do in a very short amount of time. Your assessment is due next Monday. However, throughout the week, you will be required to turn in pieces and parts of the assessment. For instance, today, you will be turning in your question. Your question has got to be a testable question, which means it is something that you are collecting data on. For this particular project, that data must be quantitative data, which means you are taking measurements or counting something, or you are recording the time that it takes for something to happen. All of those things require you to record quantitative data. So today, you will develop your question and you will turn it into me through Schoology. You can either type it directly into the box that is provided on Schoology, or you can create your own document and upload that file. Either way, you will submit your question that you intend to test for this particular project. I will be responding to that submission as quickly as possible, either with the word approved or with suggestions on how you can alter your question to make it suitable for this project. Please do not begin your project until I have approved your question. That is one way that you can know that the question is going to be a question that you can answer, that you can do with limited supplies, and that will meet the requirements of this particular project. After you develop your question, you will develop your hypothesis. Remember, a hypothesis is what you think the answer to that question is, and it must be written in the form of an if-then statement. For instance, in our penny lab, if I drop 6 drops of water on the head of a penny, then they will not fall off. Or, in the example of the Monty Python's witch trial, if she weighs the same as a duck, then she is a witch. It must be in the form of an if-then statement. When you write your experiment, please make sure that you write very detailed step-by-step processes. It should actually say, step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Make sure to include any necessary measurements and units of measurement. In the experiment, you must also identify the independent variable. The independent variable is the thing you are changing on purpose in the experiment. It's the thing you are testing. Then you are going to identify the dependent variable. The dependent variable is the results. That is the information you are writing down in your data table. I would like for you to also identify your control. Remember, your control is the part of the experiment that does not have any changes made to it. It is the part of the experiment that is under normal circumstances. Before you actually begin conducting your experiment, you need to design and draw out your data table. You must include your data table in your final lab report. Remember, a data table is how you organize your data. You will write the independent variable in your data table before beginning, and then as you are collecting your data, that data you are collecting is the data of your dependent variable. Again, don't forget to include your units of measurement. Once you have collected your data, you will draw a line graph. Let me say that again, a line graph. We are not doing bar graphs or pie charts. We are doing line graphs, please. So you will draw a line graph. You may choose to do that on the computer, or you may choose to do that on paper and upload a picture as you did with a previous assignment in this class. But you must include the graph. Go back and look in your notes at all of the parts of an acceptable graph to make sure you include all of the necessary parts, including a title. You must label your X and Y axis with the appropriate labels. After you have graphed your data, you will draw your conclusion. Remember, the conclusion must answer your original question. A lot of times when we do experiments, there are lots of extra questions that come up throughout the experiment, but your conclusion only answers that original question. Also, your conclusion should be in the form of an if, then, because statement. So it is basically going to be an exact copy of your hypothesis, except the actual data will be used instead of what you think the answer is. And you will end with because and try to give an explanation as to why your results ended that way. This will be very similar to the CER responses that you gave the first week of school. The because part is your reasoning part. Your conclusion makes a claim and it provides data as evidence to that claim. And then you are going to give reasoning as to why you believe it concluded the way that it did. You are not going to be actually submitting your experiment. There is another form that you are going to be submitting. This form right here, where you will type your question, type your hypothesis, type your procedure. In your results, you must include both your data table and your graph. You will not have to put it on the back of the paper since you are doing it on the computer. As you insert it into this page, it will just make space for it. And then you will write your conclusion in the form of an if, then, because statement. Don't forget to provide your reasoning. So this right here is the only thing you will be turning into me. However, if you take pictures or videos of your actual experiment, I would love to see those on social media. So you have your rubric here. When you are finished, before you turn your lab report in, check your rubric. It tells you exactly what you have to have and how many points each part is worth. If you have any questions about what any of these things mean, please send me a question on Schoology so that I can answer that long before this is due. Again, the due date is next Monday, September 21st. I hope you enjoy doing this experiment, and good luck.